Before we start the video, I'm so close to getting 4 out of 4 to complete my Soulreaper Axe. I just have one more piece to get and I'm gonna get it right now, today, live on stream. So after you're done with the video, come check out the stream on twitch.tv Kriibus and let's complete the axe once and for all. I'll see you all there. Okay, let's start the video. With the release of Desert Treasure 2 came one of the most hilarious and crazy bugs that has ever happened in Oldschool Runescape, where you could hit over 500 with the new Soulreaper Axe, basically putting it above any other max hit we've ever seen before in this game. Funnily enough, the bug was caused from a simple typing error where the accuracy roll on the axe accidentally was put on the strength roll, meaning the axe suddenly had about 10 times more power than it usually has. This caused some funny incidents where players just blatantly got one-shot by people who were using the axe. However, Jagex managed to fix the simple typo within hours and the problem was solved. But that made me wonder, what are some other interesting and fun bugs or glitches we've seen in Oldschool Runescape that you might not know about? And the first thing that comes to my mind is Woox. And no, we're not talking about how he was the first person to complete Inferno or many other achievements he had. Instead, I want to talk about how he was QA testing livestream the new Duel arena and how he accidentally managed to find a bug where you can use your gravestone inside the Duel arena. So matches where weapons weren't allowed, well, you can completely ignore that now if you just pick a weapon from your gravestone. Jagex fixed the bug within hours again, but before that a lot of damage was done to the integrity of Duel arena. But I guess all of that is in the past, because only a few months later the Duel arena was completely removed and never to be seen again. Still a very funny incident and oversight in my eyes. Next up, we have one of the most devastating bugs that has ever happened in Oldschool Runescape, and it had a real economical impact. It was Christmas Eve 2022 and one player found out how to duplicate Soul Wars points. Now, if you don't know about these points, you can basically trade these points for golds. And trust me, he did. He managed to collect over 500 billion coins, which on the black market sells for more than $100,000. An absolutely insane amount. The person obviously was permanently banned. Some poor Jagex developer had to come to work during Christmas and fix the bug because it caused such a massive amount of damage. And in his own words, the player who discovered this bug said he actually managed to sell off most of the gold. Funnily enough, if you go back and check the Grand Exchange graphics during 2022 Christmas, you can see that all the items in the duping video actually dipped in price a lot. He probably dumped all of them in the GE at the same time and hoped for the best. And honestly, it worked out for him. The bug itself was pretty simple oversight by Jagex. Basically, you can imbue certain items in the game for Soul Wars points and then later sell those items back for more points, creating an infinite amount of tokens in the game. It was probably one of the first bugs in Oldschool Runescape that had actual economical impact. Next, I want to show you a hilarious bug that to this day has impact on Oldschool Runescape. In 2022, Jagex accidentally created a bug where inside the Hallowed Sepulchre, which is used to drain agility, you can do infinite runs without taking any damage or losing any hit points or even getting caught. If you don't know about Hallowed Sepulchre, it's kinda like an obstacle course. You run through the entire course without taking any damage, you get rewarded for it. It's one of the best skill and money makers in the game, and for a certain period, players could lower their hit points to 1, wear the Hallowed Ring, which makes you take 0 damage, and just blatantly run through all the obstacles without ever getting caught. Some players reported that this has been going on for months, where basically you can ignore everything and make tons of money with this method, and maybe even break new world records. If you don't know, at the entrance there is a notice board, and to this day, the records for all Hallowed Sepulchre speedruns have still not been cleared out. And if you log in and go check it out yourself, the best times are still done with this exact bug. This also caused one of the most valuable items you can get from this minigame, the Ring of Endurance, dropped from 45 million GP to 25 million GP. However, Jagex did fix the bug many months later. Unfortunately, the world records for speedruns are still not fixed yet, and this will go down as one of the most unintentional and funny incidents in the history of this game. Next bug I want to showcase you probably had the most amount of loss for players in this game, because as far as we know, players who didn't know this was happening and lost all their items because of this actually never got those items back. And the worst part about it all, Jagex went completely silent on the issue for a very long time. If you don't know how a lot of players lost billions of GP in Oldschool Runescape in 2022, let me fill you in. The story takes place in the Gauntlet minigame, and basically how it works is that your gear and your inventory is stored in a certain place while you're inside the minigame, because you can't bring any items in. Once the minigame is over, the stored items and gear you had will be given back to you. However, for about 2-month period, there was an incident where if you stayed inside the Gauntlet while the entire Oldschool Runescape game went offline, the storage that had all your items and gear didn't save the progress. So let's say the weekly game update happened on Wednesday. The game timer slowly starts running down and you think you can push one more Gauntlet run before the game update happens. Turns out you don't make it. The game update happened and once you log in again, you literally lost everything you had on because the storage didn't count this in. Inventory, gear, looting bag, all of it. This is how it kinda looks. After the minigame was done, he was still wearing all the items from inside the minigame. However, he wasn't inside the minigame anymore, and his initial gear, which included stuff like Dome of Fire, Glory Amulets, boots, Sparrow's Gloves, and so much more, do not show up on his gear tab anymore. And he got lucky, all things considered, only losing few million GP worth of items. There was dozens of players who lost so much more. There was a guy who got the most valuable item from this minigame, the Enchanted Weapon Seed, which cost at the time 160 million GP. And the most amazing part is, he got it on an Iron Man. And guess what happened to his entire inventory of loot? Poof, just gone. Like that, all that progress. So this starts gaining more and more traction on Reddit, on Twitter, because more players are losing all their valuables. Imagine you're an Ultimate Iron Man, your entire account is in your inventory. Imagine losing thousands of hours of progress through a glitch you could have never predicted. And honestly, that wasn't the worst part. Jagex didn't tell anyone this was happening for months, so players could avoid this. All they had to do was put out a message saying, hey, there is currently a game-breaking bug happening in Gauntlet. We're trying to fix this, but it takes time. Meanwhile, please make sure you're not doing anything there to risk losing your stuff. But they did none of that. The only way you can get confirmation was to go to Mod Ash's personal Twitter account, God bless him, scroll down to the bottom, and there was a single tweet saying, yeah, we're on it. That was it. Meanwhile, at the same time, people were still losing their valuables with this bug. To my knowledge, none of the players who lost their stuff never got it back. Some people lost 600 million GP worth of items. Some lost all their loot on their Iron Man, and so much more. Jagex did fix the bug right after it gained more traction, but unfortunately, by that time, billions of GP were wiped from the game already. And on the topic of players losing their items, there was a hilarious bug where a player obtained a 3rd Age cape, one of the most valuable capes on their Iron Man account. They stored that cape inside their BOH wardrobe, and then Jagex decided to update the game where you can only take out items if you have the full set. Meaning, if this person ever wanted to see their 3rd Age cape again, they would have had to get the entire 3rd Age set. And just to put into perspective, on average that person would have had to complete about 100,000 clue scrolls, which give or take is about 7 years of progress. Also keep in mind you have to play every single day. Mod Sween came to help with the issue and said, hey, it was a bit of an oopsie daisy on our part, and with the next week updates, we're gonna make it so you can take out individual pieces of 3rd Age items from your BOH, but only for these items. I wanna believe the update was solely made for this guy, but I imagine there were a few other players who basically locked their items in the wardrobe accidentally. Okay, enough about people losing their items. I think it's time for a quick fire round and we blast some fun bugs that were caused in this game by accident. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. There was a bug recently done with the movement where Jagex showcased how the newest skill sailing is gonna work. But the code that was meant for boats and ships in the game accidentally was put on player movements. So it had hilarious padding incidents which 100% ruined a lot of raids that day. When Tombstone Mascot was released, for an entire day, the raid somehow managed to ruin the Hunter skill. Players could not catch any Chinchompas, any Maniacal Monkeys, and whenever you put a trap down, it did nothing. That day, players could literally gain 0 Hunter experience until it was fixed. At least it put a stop to botting for a certain period. There was a funny incident a few years ago where the minigame teleports just stopped working for a day, and instead you teleported into other players' instances, so this guy was inside someone else's Inferno run. And he could just spectate the entire run if he wanted to. There was an accidental bug with Fasani Nightmare on the day of release. For the first 12 hours of doing bosses, not a single player could get any unique items. Meaning, despite the fact that the boss was killed thousands of times by thousands of players, not a single unique entered the game. And finally, there was a hilarious bug with the high scores a few years ago, where if you swapped from group Iron Man account to solo Iron Man account, you somehow managed to retain your rank despite now being in a different high scores, which caused funny incidents like this where a player is ranked 2 despite having contributed 0 experience. Okay, that was a lot of fun. I wanna end the video with probably my favorite bug of all time. And it actually happened recently. On June 2023, Jagex added a new, very colorful update where you can type in with the rainbow text. It looks something like this. However, this unfortunately goes one of the biggest and craziest bugs in the game history, because just 1 month later there was a day when typing in the rainbow text literally crashed the game for anyone around you. Imagine the damage it caused that day. You can go to GE, type in anything in rainbow, and suddenly hundreds of players around you would disconnect and their clients would crash. You could go near a hardcore Ironman, type in anything with rainbow and their client would immediately crash, probably causing them to lose their status. Imagine losing your hardcore Ironman account to someone typing in rainbow colors. It's safe to say for an entire day the wrath of Pride took over Oldschool Runescape. Funnily enough, literally 1 week before that, the Pride event did happen, so it's safe to say they went on the offense and became too powerful, at least for a day. The funniest part was that a lot of bots in GE do use the rainbow text all the time, so when you were standing in GE before you logged in and wanted to play, you could literally not log in, because as soon as you did, a bot would probably spam something in rainbow text, basically making you disconnect immediately. And not only that, the bots also disconnect themselves. It was an absolute mess all around. Also to note, it's not the first time you can type in something weird and the client crashes. Many years ago, you could type in this weird character that is meant for measuring something and it instantly crashed everyone around you. Players would then go to PvP worlds, wait for someone to spawn in Lumbridge and then type in that character. Everyone around them would crash and they would pick up the loot. It's safe to say that the code of this game is ancient. It's very old. And it's very likely stuff like this will happen in the future again, which means I can make more videos. So take that as a win. For now though, I will go grind out my Soulreaper Axe, but I will see you all tomorrow with another video. I love you all very much. Bye.